Need for Speed Unbound is less than a month away now, and we here at RacingGames couldn't be more excited. With an amazing new art style, the game has certainly grabbed attention, and early gameplay videos have made Need for Speed Unbound look pretty close to 2019's Need for Speed Heat, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. However, there are some features from Heat we'd like to see left behind. While Heat was a step in the right direction for Need for Speed, there were still some features that we wished weren't included. I'm Mark from RacingGames, and here's our list of features we'd like to see dropped for Need for Speed Unbound. Cop chases are one of the most recognisable features from Need for Speed in general. While they haven't always been present in Need for Speed games, they are synonymous with the series, and usually play the role of the antagonist when roaming the streets. They should be a challenge to evade, but Heat took things way too far. Even on low heat levels, the police were almost unbeatable, able to withstand T-bone collisions at full speed with barely a scratch left on their cars. This is especially frustrating when the cops take all of the money that you have on you if you get busted. That can be a huge amount of money, especially when you're first starting out in the game and need it the most. Like we say, the police should be a challenge, but in Heat the fight felt rigged. The police chase trailer for Unbound does show cop cars being taken out by NPC traffic, so we're really hoping the law is just that little bit easier to escape this time. Now this has been a problem that Need for Speed has always suffered from, but it's now time to correct it. Need for Speed games are usually set in large American cities with wide open streets, long sweeping highways, and even vast international airports. In Need for Speed Unbound, you'll be able to explore Lakeshore's huge map in full 4K at 60 FPS on the next gen platforms. However, what we're looking for is a city that actually feels lived in. Need for Speed games have a habit of taking place in abandoned urban areas. What we mean by that is that despite these being large cities, nobody seems to inhabit them. In the days of the likes of Need for Speed Most Wanted in 2005, the excuse was that the console didn't have enough processing power, but those days are long gone now, so let's see some residents whilst we race around the streets. We don't expect the level of detail you get in Grand Theft Auto 5, especially when racing at night, but we do think that during the day it'll be nice to see a bit more vibrance to a city that would have around 1 million people living within it in the real world. Before we move on, have you subscribed to RacingGames yet? Just one click and you're on the RacingGames grid. Oh, and hit that notification bell too so you never miss an upload. Alright, on with the video. While the AI was decent to race wheel to wheel against in Heat, they still left a little to be desired. One of the issues when it comes to most AI in arcade games is that no matter how fast you are, they will catch up and be near you come the end of the race. While this keeps the action interesting throughout, it is very artificial. It becomes more obvious when your car is far superior to the AI's, yet they are still on your tail at the finish line. I mean, nothing should be able to beat the fastest car in the game, except for the 5th fastest on a rubber band slipstream of course. Some may like the rubber banding, especially when it goes the other way to help the player out when they're running in last, but most gamers will find this is something which spoils the immersion. From what we've seen in the latest Unbound trailers, we wouldn't rule this out as still being in the game, thanks to the huge variety of cars shown in the race. Drifting is fun. There's no getting away from it, unless you're bad at it like I am of course, but it has a time and a place. Drifting isn't the fastest way to get around corners, so when you have an AI that will always be close behind you thanks to the previously mentioned elastic, you can't afford to make any mistakes. The handling model in Need for Speed has never been the best, but we would like to see an improvement over what we saw in Heat. We should be able to avoid going into a drift when pushing the limits of the steering lock in the cars. For rear-wheel drive cars, this isn't such an issue, as drifting with these is actually a lot of fun, and is also within the realms of realism. But for those that are front-wheel or four-wheel drive, it's painful to lose control of these cars around corners and end up in the barriers or a building as a result. We want cars to feel more planted to the road, almost on rails, not cars that feel like we're driving on ice all the time. There's really nothing more annoying than losing control of the car due to the game's physics rather than your own driving ability, and I'm including rubber banding and RoboCop style law enforcement on that list too. These features, if included, wouldn't ruin Need for Speed Unbound necessarily, but considering the lengths the developers have gone to with the art style, soundtrack and tone of the game, it would make sense to use Unbound as an opportunity to deviate from the Need for Speed series when it comes to all of our gripes too. Regardless, we believe Unbound will be another step in the right direction for the franchise, and we are already counting the days until release so we can get our cartoon race on. Do you agree with our list here? Would you prefer to see rubber banding banished to racing purgatory? And have we missed anything out? Be sure to let us know in the comments below, and why not join in on the conversation while you're there. For now though, thanks for watching. I've been Mark from RacingGames, please like and subscribe for all things Need for Speed Unbound, and now I'm off to figure out a way to finally escape the police in Heat. I mean, I could just not break the law by street racing, but come on.